Vincent, has been a while. Now we actually chatting over the phone, but in reality we are in the same village.
Yeah, that's true actually. And a few kilometers from each other.
Exactly, exactly. But it's not about the distance that we talk today. It's about the RegTech book, and thank you very much for your contribution into that book.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
What I like very much is that you guys are an organization, and yourself, you're very wide in the industry. But I got a hidden message from your book, from the article, if I may. It
Yeah,
sounded like the hidden value of technology. Am I right?
yeah, that's true. In fact, well, hidden for me, it's not so hidden. But I look at it personally. I'm quite a technology optimist. What does that mean? I see in technology many hidden values, hidden to many people. But hidden in the sense that many people see technology as something that sometimes is awesome, but at the same time can be threatening to their privacy, to other stuff, to their job even maybe. So as a technology optimist, I see a few examples that bring us to that hidden value, which I use also in daily life when I talk to people that are afraid of their job. And people come to me and say, "Yeah, I do this kind of work. It's quite repetitive, but it's brain work." I say, "Okay." And now my organization wants to automate it. And
Mm-hmm.
after the robotization era, now we go for the automation of the brain work. And then I say, so what's the problem? Yeah, it's repetitive work. I don't like it. And now they come to take it away from me.
Uh-huh.
Now you're telling to me that they're taking away your repetitive work. So after that, you can do other things. To me, that's a rather positive message and not a negative message, because then as a human being, you can focus more on the value behind the repetitive work or the client contact. And in that way, we come to the way that at AE we see things, that the combination of technology and
Mm-hmm.
human is a value that is hidden to so many people because they only see the threats behind it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's almost a mission I take up in professional conversations, but also at barbecues, people who are not technology savvy, who don't know what it's about. And it's always the same mechanism, but many people don't see that hidden value, I hear, because in the
Uh-huh.
end we know that there's enough work. We know that many sectors are not customer oriented yet, so in many ways human beings can add value, can bring value to the table by working in combination with technology. It's not an off or an or story, as we say it in Dutch, it's an and story. And
Yeah.
once you see that it's plus, it's a win-win-win situation for you, for the client, and for technology in general, and you have that attitude activated, I think then you can make progress.
Almost feels like you're giving a scenario of the Matrix, the movie. Where, like once you got the things aligned, you suddenly see the insight and you see the opportunities. Is
Well, probably, yeah, because I'm really an optimist about that, and I only see, I most of the time I see good examples. We are working at a client at this moment who says, for me, it's a bank. It says, for me, the network of my agents remains very important.
yeah.
No, we're not going to cut the client contact. No, we're going to augment it. And how will we augment it? We will use technology. We will use the possibilities of analytics and augmented insights to enable these physical persons, these human beings, to have a better client contact than before. So
Yeah.
it doesn't replace him; it makes him better. And that's a thing you see in many ways. Of course, people who don't believe in it, they will not adopt it. They will not use those augmented insights. They will stay far away from it, and they will not tap into that extra value that's behind it. And that's a mission we want to complete. If we say human beings in a digital era at IE, we want to convince organizations, and in the end, we want to convince people to adopt it and to change their attitude so they can create more customer value.
Yeah. And what I like about that thoughts, or that train of thoughts, if I say it like that, what I
Hmm.
like about that is that you keep the value of the human as a very central point. And I personally also am a very strong believer that the world is almost going to a pendulum where, on one end, you could say that that value of human beings, so user experience, becomes extremely valuable, and that somehow you cannot return to the old situation, because if you upgrade the value with technology, there comes a point when this becomes the new normal.
Yeah, of course. And it's even so that it's not only that you keep the human, I think you bring it back to its status where it is even more valuable than before, because taking a human being and making him work in repetitive ways is
Uh-huh.
a human being at its best. If you augment him with the technology, you can bring him back to the customer contact, to the thing where he's really good in convincing people, talking to people. The human contact is he has more space, he has more headspace, but he has more opportunity to do that again. I think it's even becoming a little bit better for most of us.
Yeah, interesting. Vincent, do I also hear a story or a trigger for more social inclusion in the world?
Okay, then I think you elaborate on the part where I say that people are becoming more and more back to their nature, where they are in fact customer oriented and so. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's on two levels, in fact, because if you look at personalization at a very mature level,
Yeah.
then I think always of the grocery store around the corner of my grandmother, let's say, of my imaginary grandmother maybe, where a person comes in and the grocery store owner knows Koen, says, "Hey Koen, how are things with your wife? Is your child better? How is everything with his ear?" And so on. It's a kind of personalization that is immense because you feel addressed to as a person.
Uh-huh.
Feel very valuable at that moment. As you see the personalization era where we were hitting to in the financial world, it's very segmented. You're always part of a segment, of a group. We are the
Mm.
plus 40 people who are both with a job and who live in a house with a garden, let's say. Um, and that thing is shifting because in the end, if you look at it from a writer point of view, it's very unhandy, because people don't like to be in a segment, in a vakje, as we say in Dutch. People like to be treated personal. And in that way, we are shifting with all these technological opportunities. We're shifting towards a very personalized era, hopefully without taking too much away of the privacy, of course. And then if you look at it at a broader way, where you see what the total social inclusion is, luckily you won't be part of this segment because you have 10 segments, you are always part of one segment. But I think the social inclusion indeed is that people are returning more towards the nature, can be themselves without being threatened in their privacy,
Mm-hmm.
but in the end, by being part of many circles as a
Mm-hmm.
person. And a people is not ready to live in one segment. You as a human being, you are a professional who is active in some circles. You are also a private person which is active in that kind of circles due to your hobby or your interest, and in that kind of circles due to the fact that you have children or that you live in Kesselo, I don't know. But you have a social inclusion that is much more personalized and not so, I'm looking for the word, abstract.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a positive point because you feel much more personally addressed.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. What still is on my tongue is that idea of well, you describe it as something, a wide adoption of technology in the world.
mhm.
If we take it one step narrower again, and we take it back to our book, which is about RegTech, how do you see that as a relationship with RegTech?
Well, I think the scheme of thinking is actually the same. I think if you look at RegTech, you see reg and tech regulations have always been there. Let's be clear about that, to protect consumers, to protect governments, to protect private persons. Of course, due to the fact that technologies become wide available, due to the fact that data are becoming more and more wide available, regulations have to shift in order to keep the customer orientation, but at the same time to safeguard the privacy, because you are sharing quite some data, whether you know it or realize it or not. Now, these regulations are, to me, in a sense, a positive thing, because they are safeguarding the positive trend that we're heading to, where as a person, I'm being approached in a personalized way. I'm getting functionality at my fingertips which were not possible before. Look at what Google brings to you as a private person. It's immense. It's a Rolls Royce of functionality, but they have to do. We have to keep that and give everybody the feeling and the security that it's done in a private way. So that's why regulations have their function. The fact that technology is not the source of the fact that we need regulation is important, because to me technology is much more the enabler. Realize that kind of regulations, especially if you see some more advanced technologies. If you look at, I take the one example of quantum computing. People want to have the kind of banking they have these days. Everybody is on the mobile, is on the iPad, is on the computer. You can see everything you've done 3 years ago. You can do payments with your watch. That's everything. It's very easy. You go to fitness, you buy some drink, you keep your watch against the machine, and it's paid. That are things that we're not going to turn back anymore. But if I feel as a consumer, and if I'm sure that behind the scenes there is quantum computing, safeguarding looking at all those transactions, looking at patterns of fraud, making sure that I can do this in a very safe way, in a way that I don't have to look every 5 minutes to see if my bank account isn't robbed or something. To me, it's maybe some less visible functionality, but it's a functionality that keeps us at the pace of positive evolution as a consumer. And this is, of course, an example in banking, but you can take that example to every sector if you want. So regulations are not only there for banking, they are there for every kind of transaction you do. But I don't want to miss out on those new functionality.
No, I see.
And I want to do it I want to be able to sleep at night. And if people would understand that it's quantum computing is for 90% an enabler instead of for 90% a threat, then they would embrace those kind of
absolutely
technology. If you see the know your customer example, if you see the enabling power of distributed ledger technology there, it's something that most people, of course, don't know and maybe will never know how it works. But in the end, the fact that people know that without understanding all the details, that it's a positive thing that those technology are helping us to keep the comfort of new technology and to safeguard everything in that, so I can be able to sleep at night. That's I hope that you can reach that point.
No, I see. And to an extent, if you look at MiFID II as a regulation, MiFID II, one of the key points in MiFID is about transparency and protection of the end user. So you hear what you just said is actually translated into legislation, which then is being resolved through banks, but also through regulators, but also to RegTech companies, I think, as a combination together. No, very interesting. Perhaps one last question, because you talked a lot about how you guys as a company use technology, and you try to open up the vision for people and companies to make that step forward or to be positive. Why should people contact you then? I mean, why should they come to you?
Okay. What we try to do in all ways to combine innovation with common sense. What do I mean by that? To me, innovation is, in fact, doesn't start necessarily with technology or an innovation process. I think innovation starts in the mind, starts in the business mind. What we try to do is we see technology and innovation not as a goal, but as a means to innovate, in fact, on the business side. And what we do with the client, we always say we co-innovate with you by co-think and co-act and co-create. That's important. And in the co-think phase, it's already important that we step out of the dream room very fast, because we try to make an economically sense behind the innovation ideas that the clients have. So we try to bring some economics in it. Is it viable? Does it have a business viability in it? And technology, of course, comes into play, but it's an enabler. People who say we want to do something with blockchain. Okay, but do you have a business idea? Because if you do it for the sake of blockchain itself, then probably it will not work out.
Yeah.
If you have an enormously strong idea to create customer value, which is business-wise innovative, then we can start to puzzle out which technologies are enabling this idea. And that's it's also kind of a funnel you're in. You start with divergent thinking, and first you have to make the click on the business idea. Is it economically viable or not? If yes, then you start puzzling, how can we realize this business idea by bringing together some technologies? And then we have, of course, two steps. First is what we call, we create a POC, because it doesn't make sense to create a Rolls-Royce immediately. We start with a solution that may be quick and dirty, that may be throw away within a year, but where you can really take the solution to a market or to a set of the market to test it with real people in the street if necessary, so you can see, is it good? Maybe it's good, we have to adapt some things. And then if you have a next quality gate for the idea, then you can start thinking about the more fundamental solutions.
Yeah.
And innovation is much more in the mind and in having a good process to make it really work, from the idea to the test and that's where we try to take our customers from A to Z if necessary, and where we also tap into the ecosystem, because at AE we want to co-create on the client through the process to the idea, but we also collaborate with other companies in the ecosystem, because we don't have all the knowledge ourselves, of course, because
no, and in all honestly, I was invited to your hackathon not so long ago, and that's where I smelt it, I felt it, I saw it. So
yeah,
very great.
Well, yeah. Well, if you look at the hackathon, the prize in this hackathon is surely not only about the most innovative idea, but the economical viability behind it is as important. And the people who won one or two prizes are the people who can combine these kinds of thinking all together.
Oh yeah, that's the crutch, isn't it?
That's the
Vincent, I'd like to thank you very much for all these additional insights to the article in the book. So I think what you have done is you actually give more information, so people even want to get more. So I hope many of them will get in touch with you guys. So thank you very much again for this interview. Thank you very much also for the contribution. And for the listeners, please don't hesitate to stay around, because either you can go to the website that will come on after this interview, or don't hesitate to look at any other videos that are in the playlist. Thank you again, Vincent.
Thank you for the invitation, and lots of success with your book.
Thank you very much. Our book, exactly.
Our book, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.